Look out, here comes Gage Agnew. Look out, here I come for you, here I come for, here I come for, here I come for. That's the intro to this one. It's a Little Shop of Horrors thing. You can go now. It's been a while since I did this. I looked at my channel and it was 2 years ago I did the last Black Curtain Saga rant. Why did I give the most grandiose name to my least effort series? Because I'm bad at marketing. Thank you for all the support over the past couple of years, but I want to talk about something very dear and close to my heart. You might have picked up on this channel that I like movies a little bit. Now, not only are we going to talk about movies, we are also going to talk about the lore of me, Gage Agnew. Initially, I wanted to be an actor, but I didn't really like to be told what to do. So that kind of transitioned into wanting to do filmmaking after doing a TV production class for high school. So after taking that TV production class, I learned to look at films with a more critical eye. Films like Inglourious Basterds and The Incredibles I looked at very keenly. And the plan was to go to film school, move to Los Angeles, and become a superstar director. I failed the first step. I didn't get into film school. But that was all right because I was pretty stubborn / persistent. I joined the film club at college. I joined like the theater cinema club. And I met some of my best friends there. I met my friend Vinny, who still pops up on this channel to this day, a decade later after meeting him. And even though I've met some awesome people, I also met some not so awesome people. People who had a very strong stance on what makes a good movie and what makes a bad movie. Here's a little secret though. Art is subjective. And so if someone liked a movie that you did not enjoy, you do not have to stick your nose up in disgust. I've had people genuinely offended over movies that I personally did not see or enjoy. Oh, you haven't seen my favorite movie, Transformers 3: The Dark Side of the Moon, featuring Leonard Nimoy? You must be a plebeian. And that confuses me a lot even nowadays, because if someone hasn't seen something that I really enjoy, just any piece of media, video game, TV, movies, that excites me. I'm like, oh, I get to introduce you to this wonderful medium. That's awesome. I get to be the person to introduce them to that. Freaking rad! Then I moved to Los Angeles, where everyone has an opinion on a movie. A strong one, too. Strong opinions on movies, able to beat you up in an alleyway and maybe take your parents out so you become some sort of dark superhero of sorts. And then after a lot of opinions on movies in my 5 years in LA, something like that, a pandemic happened. And so it was pushing more people out of the movie theaters. For good reason too, I will say. There was a very good reason why people didn't go to the movie theater then. Then we started getting some weaker movies when it came to 2021. If you look at all the domestic top grossing box office movies, you'll see it's like Marvel, and the only one that's not a superhero movie on there is Fast and Furious 9. You need to have 9 installments to this franchise in order for it to be profitable, you dingus, ya Nimrod, ya stinky. So in 2022, with strong opinions I've heard and the state of movies, I had to admit my relationship was on the rocks when it came to the cinema. So my main mission was to fall back in love with movies, and I talked to a couple of friends about their personal journey and relationships with movies.
Hi, it's me, Vinny, but this is the real Vinny, uncut and raw.
Right, yeah, so my name's Amanda. I unfortunately go by the name Amanda the Jedi on YouTube.
Hi, I'm Jeff, and I love movies.
I adore movies.
I fucking hate movies. Oh, I swore. I'm so sorry. We're off to a bad start. Yeah, I hate them. I despise them. Honestly, some people probably think I do, but no, I love movies.
I prefer movies over people. There you go. That's how antisocial I am. That's
So what is your earliest favorite movie, and what's your current favorite movie or movies?
Yeah, my favorite earliest movies, E.T. is always a major one. That is one that I really go back to time and again. That still really sticks with me hard as an adult. You know, obviously Steven Spielberg is a great filmmaker. It's just something that just makes me cry, and I think films are an emotional experience, and any time that you can watch something and have that deep and emotional experience, it's going to stay with you for the rest of your life. You're never going to end up forgetting it, I think.
Earliest favorite movie. It's still one of my favorite movies, but it was Aliens, the sequel to Alien, because my aunt had HBO. I did not. I lived out in the boondocks, so I had no cable. And she would record movies for me on VHS tape.
In terms of stuff that would be recognizable, like very fond memories of Lion King as a child, and then Toy Story. Like those were my two mains. I had a ton of toys from both of those movies. So those were my two mains. And then now I feel like one of my old faithfuls for quite a while has just been Scott Pilgrim versus the World. It's just fun. It's wacky. It's not anything that I'm going to go out of my way to like talk about it as if it's like some auteur piece of cinema, but like it's exactly what it needs to be. It's super fun. It's very Canadian. I'm Canadian. It just works.
The one that I've just watched the most and that I've had the most fun with is just Boogie Nights. I mean, that is just, to me, just such a wonderfully complete, like, cinematic experience that has all the highs and all the lows of, you know, of incredible humor, great drama, phenomenal acting across the board from just this cast of just seems like about everyone who was in Hollywood at the time. And just, you know, just this great story full of energy that, you know, that pulls you in and doesn't let go, even when it reaches, you know, the darker moments of the second half of the film. You know, it's just endlessly quotable, endlessly fun. Honestly, could watch it every day for the rest of my life and probably not get sick of it.
Oh, what's a good recent movie? Like, I really like Tarantino movies, even if they're flawed. I like a writer-director that takes dialogue seriously. I feel like there's a lot of movies. I feel like I'd have an easier time talking about movies I hate. I watch a lot of bad fucking movies.
What's the first time you disliked a movie? What's the first time you've been to a movie and it's disappointed you?
See, that's a good question because I don't really think that way. I mean, I do think that way. I mean, obviously, when you watch something and you dislike it, you kind of, you know, I mean, it's a visceral experience. I mean, if you dislike it, you're going to dislike it, you know, but those experiences don't really stick with me as much as the ones in which it really, you know, means something.
I think it was honestly before I'd even seen it, and I still don't like it, and maybe it's just those prejudices holding on, but I don't like Wizard of Oz. So I think I just looked at the cover, and as a 7-year-old, I was just like, this is not for me remotely. I don't know why you would do this to me, and I'm sure it wasn't that bad. And then I think I like watched it and still just like wasn't my jam. Like, I haven't watched it in years. Maybe I need to give it another go, but that's at least like the first thing I remember like being in the presence of that I was just like, absolutely not.
The first movie I actually walked out on was, I think it was just called 2012. It was one of those Roland Emmerich disaster movies. I am at such a fucking loss with that guy because he made a movie that I actually really like, which is the original Stargate. I believe it was him. That's one of those like endlessly rewatchable movies for me. I like the original Stargate. But then I swear he just runs a company of like VFX artists that just all they know how to do is like animate destruction. He's just making these movies to keep them employed. Like, I don't get it. Like, there's 2012, The Day After Tomorrow, and the newest one called Moonfall. Gage. Moonfall is fucking terrible. It's terrible. You watch it, and I just can't help but be the most cynical piece of shit in the world. I'm just like, what is wrong with the world that this movie gets made? Like, somebody actually wrote this, went through the hands of several millionaire executives, all like the best, like talented VFX artists decided to work on this. And it's terrible. The whole story stinks. It's like, it's upsetting.
How are you feeling about the future of movies?
You know, it's hard to say. For a while there, I thought maybe things would come back to that where, you know, like movie making has become easier than ever, but, you know, because of technology. But I don't know. There's just still something missing. I just feel like there's hardly anything surprising anymore. It's all just very bland.
I mean, I think the thing with the film form is that you're not just limited to the present. That's the thing with all art, is that, you know, it all reaches back.
Like I said, I think a lot of it is pushing towards streaming services in a lot of ways, and then they're going to try to get these like guaranteed hitters, big franchises, but I'm also seeing that people are getting a little bit annoyed of some of those big franchises and not having any kind of clear thing. So you just never know. I think we're kind of entering perhaps again an era of like actor-driven cinema, where like actors can bring people into seats more so, because for a while it was very director-driven. I think we're still there to an extent, but like there are a ton of teenage girls that are going to be making their way out to see Bones and All just because Timothée Chalamet is in it, and they're going to ignore all warnings that perhaps it's not a movie for them and their stomachs, but they're still gonna go because of Timothée Chalamet. So it's so hard to tell what's gonna happen because the world is constantly changing, so I don't know.
Have you seen Everything Everywhere All at Once?
Of course, yeah. My favorite movie of the year.
Awesome. Good to hear, because that's one of my very favorite movies of the year, too. It's like, something like that is still getting made and is still getting, you know, a lot of attention. And, you know, it seems like it's very rare, but you still get, like, little instances of that. It's never letting you forget that the point of going to a movie is to have a good time. And yeah, and there's films like that all the time being released. It's just you kind of have to look for them. And there's tons of films that you've, over the past, that you haven't been into, that you haven't gotten around to seeing, that have that same experience. So yeah, I still love movies, and I think I always will. The love of that experience is never going to leave me, I don't think.
Last year, I watched one movie a week.
And not just in theaters, but throughout the past century of cinema. I'm talking about Nosferatu. I'm talking about The Public Enemy. I'm talking about Easy Rider. Ooh, that's some good movies. But I didn't just watch old movies. I watched new movies too. I watched Everything Everywhere All at Once, a movie about the multiverse. I watched Barbarian, about a spooky Airbnb. And I also watched The Banshees of Inisherin, which is about a decaying friendship in 1920s fictional Ireland. Well, technically it's a fictional island off the coast of mainland Ireland. The point is they're Irish. Man, I'm doing a really bad job selling this movie. It was a great movie too, I really liked it. People who don't like movies nowadays are like people who say they don't like music nowadays, but they just listen to the radio. Are you kidding me? You can't just listen to the radio and be like, oh, music nowadays stinks. Sometimes you gotta dig a little. You gotta dig beneath the Marvel movies. You gotta dig beneath the Fast and Furious 9. Part of the Fast saga. Man, did I rip off the Black Curtain saga from the Fast and Furious series? Maybe. So after my long history with movies, after all the trials and tribulations that life has thrown at me, and with the current state of cinema, the message is clear. Do I still love movies? Hell yeah, I still love movies, and I can't wait to see what happens next. Movies-wise, the world, I would like it to not move along as fast as it's going. It's scary. Thanks so much for watching. I had a fun time putting this all together. If you like, you can like and subscribe. Like, comment, subscribe, ring that bell for notifications on the channel. Come on, all the cool kids are doing it. And yeah, if you need anything, I'll be right here. You can follow me on Twitter, Instagram, or whatnot. TikTok, I'm also on there. And yeah, thanks for watching. Hope you had a great time. I'll see you in the next Black Curtain Saga in 2024.